behold, we are live. The cat is obsessed with the fact that I just put lotion on and she really wants to lick my hand. So that's happening.
No, that will give her bad tummy troubles. You can't lick lotion.
That's what I keep telling her, but for some reason she doesn't speak English.
Babies and
Very
cats,
trouble.
man. They have the exact same obsessions.
Trying to kill themselves and screaming.
Through eating the world. Yeah.
Yes. That's the one. Yep.
Yeah.
This side. Nope. Nope. This side. There we go. It's mirrored and I've never gotten used to it.
It's not mirrored here.
Well, why is mine mirrored and yours isn't mirrored? That's bullshit.
I don't know, but it must flip it because I'm seeing like you just use your left hand, so that's not mirrored for me. Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is showing up on the right of my screen. So when I'm like, I should move my hair, I move the wrong side of my hair. Good times. What are you drinking?
I have the same problem for the opposite reason, but no matter. We should ask our listening audience for suggestions on what to call the podcast, since a long expected podcast takes a long time to say and to type. And anyway, we have finished the Lord of the Rings.
Finished! See, that's what I was expecting us to do last week, and then we got to the end and you were like, and Appendix A, and I was like, whoa, hold up.
No, you were right. We should have shared the moment. I'm back. Oh, yeah. Just a little window into my personal reading experience is until I've read the bit where when Legolas and Gimli embark for the Undying Lands, that was the end of the Fellowship in Middle-earth, which is somewhere in like Appendix B.
Right, I was going to say, it's not even A. A is like something else completely random.
Annals of the Kings and Rulers.
Ah, yes.
We could find Aragorn and Luthien, Arwen's story.
You're skipping ahead.
Yes, I am.
Because this is what we're doing today. I bought a copy specifically for this, and I picked the one with the least stupid cover that was also not $60.
Right? This one I picked up at Powell's in 2019 on my victory lap. And it was so I bought it. I unwrapped it from the plastic. I was like, ooh, pretty. And then I've set it on a shelf. And I think 3 weeks ago, I was watching TikTok and someone was doing a review of this copy and was like, we love the cover. And I was like, yes, we do. And she was like, and we love this. This is beautiful. I was like, yes, it is. And she was like, we love the map of Beleriand that is on the inside. And I was like, the what?
The what?
So I opened up mine, and yeah, there's a couple of them. One I've already got hanging up. The other one is the original sketches from Tolkien.
Ooh, I cannot see that one little bit. Oh, there we go. Okay. Wrong side again.
But yeah, so thank you, TikTok.
That particular edition is the one that I was like, ooh, this one's nice. Oh, okay, not today.
Yeah. Powell's, I spent way too much. It is the kind of bookstore where you're like, oh, that obscure book from my childhood, I will never see it again. Holy shit, there's all of them on one shelf. And they had sequels. And there's an illustrated coffee table book to go with them. And then you call up Jason and you say, I'm about to spend $250 at a bookstore. And he's like, have at it. And you're like, you were supposed to stop me.
I mean, I think if I called up Jason and said that, he would be very confused. Which would actually be really funny, but...
He would probably tell you to have at it.
He would, yes. But I just tell myself to have at it. But this particular day, I also picked up... So I bring my stack of books to the counter at Barnes and Noble, and the guy's like, you got a good assortment today. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. Because I had the Silmarillion, a book called The Design of Everyday Objects, which looks cool as fuck,
Oh, I've heard of that one.
and a an urban fantasy uh by Max Gladstone, who I don't think you have read anything, but you would probably like.
Cool. I've heard
But
of
yeah,
the design of everyday objects from Adam Savage. I think he's a big fan.
I could see that. I just like, yeah, apparently this is the updated version of an old book called like The Psychology of Design, which I was
Ooh.
like, hello. And it's going to talk about, it's updated for like the internet and shit. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be really interesting.
We're replacing the Papazon. The catalyst for me was when Uncle Bud was here and he sat on the ottoman because there wasn't any other place he felt comfortable. And I was like, we really need better seating in this room.
Sure.
So my 89-year-old uncle, bless him. Anyway, so Jason was like, sure. So we went to American Furniture Warehouse for the first time in 5 years. And I was like, all of this is very bland and safe, but that one looks comfortable. And actually I sat on like 10 and found the one that was the right size and the right comfort level. And we bought it. It'll come on Tuesday. In the meantime, I've got to do something with the Papazon. I might put the frame outside as a sort of, hey, kids, you can like play with this.
Could do that. I was going to say Facebook Marketplace.
It's in too bad a shape. One of the problems with it is that the kids have sat down on it like foot first too many times and broken the little ribs in the frame. And so, yeah, I'll probably give the mattress part to a thrift store, and someone with a large dog will use it as a dog bed.
If the thrift store will take it. They don't really like taking soft furnishings these days.
Right? No, if not them, Facebook Marketplace. Not that I enjoy selling things, though. I suck at it. Sarah commented, my zombie alphabet coloring book is on Amazon, and I posted, hey guys, it's still out there, you can go buy it. And Sarah was like, I'll buy it. I just bought it for my nephew. And I'm like, don't do that.
Depends on the nephew.
Right? Yeah, I don't know his age or anything about him, but I was like, okay, but it's really gruesome once you start coloring it.
Yeah, it goes from like a funny joke to like, really quickly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. In the dear God, what have I done kind of. But yeah, it made me realize that I suck at sales. I did have my deck debut the other day, and
Indeed.
8 women showed up, which was enough for that space. It was real like cozy, and I got to do a talk, and I prepared nothing. No speech, no nothing. I still managed to talk for over an hour because they would just ask a question and there would be a story for that question. And they all said it was very interesting. So I don't think I was boring.
Well, I think if you were boring, they would have stopped asking questions. That's usually what happens there.
Right. And it was a very rich and engrossing experience, and I want to do it again. I really want to do it again. I gotta like start contacting local bookstores and shit and be like, I'm doing a signing in your space if you're okay with it.
I was trying to think if I know anyone here, like bookstore owners, but alas, no.
Right. That needs to happen. If you're reading tonight, are you reading tonight?
I am. It is my turn.
My creative project will be like cleaning the art cave. So I will turn my camera to face whatever I happen to be doing, but I can't function in here. It's look, this is the surface on which I'm supposed to be doing my This Is How We Process book. Like, and that's every process and surface And my therapist was like, hey, it's organized chaos. Give yourself permission. It's okay. And I'm like, no, you're not getting it. This place sucks. I don't know where anything is.
Right. We have passed organized chaos and to the point of it's stressing me out.
Yeah, it's stressing me the fuck out. So, like, Tony Collette's stress face.
It's a pretty intense stress face. I was okay, so when I was putting like the link for the stream and everything together, I went through our old videos and we had a couple that have gotten like 25 views, which I was like, really?
Who's watching us?
Why these? Like, why these particular ones? Like that's great, but why? And so I started watching one, and at one point I made a face and just like kind of stayed that way for a while, and I was just like,
was it the technology? Like,
no, I was just sitting there making that face. I was like, what? Oh, it's great. It's fine.
That is delightful. I don't advertise this at all myself. I could. I absolutely could. I'd like to. I just
I mean, I never have, but I just figured since we were starting the Silmarillion, I would,
right.
and it has gotten us still 0 viewers, so that's what that is.
Here, I'm gonna write to Mana.
Are people not interested in the Silmarillion? I am shocked.
Dare. Hang on.
I have a story on Instagram. You can share it. Well, I think you can't share it. Actually, my account's private. But you might be able to share it to yours.
I will simply. Oh wait. So whenever I open up my chats and it's like, your chats aren't what you think they are. I'm like, what did I do? How did I delete so many? It's because the chats are set to my my business page.
Yes, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Robin's
all of a sudden very like different. The brightest human. Okay, there we go.
If you want to, what are we just on live on YouTube?
We are live on YouTube, and I actually posted the link in my story. I bet you could copy it over. I like got real like. I have joined the century of the fruit bat.
Ooh!
It is not the century. I forget what century it.
Anchovy.
Anchovy, yes. Yes, it is the century of the anchovy, but I have joined the century of the fruit bat. Like, my tech skills are in 2013. Let me tell you.
You know what? Good enough.
Also not actually true.
A podcaster right now. Yeah. And the link is what? Hang on.
It's in my Instagram story. It's like youtube.com/some random letters. I'm not gonna read it out.
Do you remember, maybe not because you're younger than me, but there was a time when the internet would not just forward things. You really did have to type in all that shit.
I vaguely recall that, but also I feel like URLs were less complicated at the time.
Slightly, but there were things that were 27 letters and some were upper and lower case. And what am I looking for? Who are you? Who are you on Insta?
Oh, who am I on Insta? Shit, I don't know my Instagram handle off the top of my head.
Call you name. All right. So your story, that's your... See, I will never... Maybe I will. I am not currently comfortable with Instagram's stuff because I don't know how to access your fucking story. Is that the story?
You'll see my face in a little circle at the top, and then and then like it's the second slide or whatever. I don't know. I'm too old to be doing these things, but I'm doing them anyway.
What? But then when I click on it, it just gives me your freaking face bigger, like this. I click on your story and it's like, look at you.
That doesn't seem right. Why don't I just text you the link? Why are we doing these things to ourselves?
Thank you. Text me the link and then we shall read. Maybe that's it. Maybe we're putting off the sweet moment of cracking open the Silmarillion and reading it aloud.
Possibly we are doing that. Possibly. What the hell am I doing? It says one person's watching now. That's me. Hang on. Where can I find this link that is not here?
What do we call that?
Stats for nerds. That didn't help, but it made me feel better.
Okay. Do you hiss at things too?
Yes, I just did, in fact.
I thought that's what I was hearing, but I was too focused on my little phone where I was typing things with one little finger because I'm an old woman. Thumb typing doesn't work for me because I have very short thumbs. So what I end up doing is rubbing all the letters.
Yeah, I don't keep my thumb on the thing. I do one of these situations. But also I deliberately pick small phones because I have small hands.
Can I copy that?
Probably.
Copy. It won't let me copy. It will let me like it, but it won't let me copy it. Forward. No. Fine.
Kind of glad we don't have any viewers. This part is embarrassing.
You know what? Fuck it. Can I forward that? Yes, I can forward that. Oh shit! Look what I have found out. Oh. It will only send it in SMS. It will not send it to...
The fuck?
Uh-huh. Hang on. Share. How about share? Share probably works. I will send it to Amanda. I did it. Holy crap. Let's get the hell out of here.
My coworkers can never know how long that took us.
I'll just remember that share and forward are not the same thing and never will be.
Well, on that note, I suppose we should get started.
Let's enter the analog world of creation myths that actually kind of rock. Literally.
Ha!
Ah.
The
Inulindale.
I don't know.
I've always said lay.
Yeah. Inulindale.
The song of the Ainur.
There was Eru, the one, who in Arda is called Iluvatar. And he made first the Ainur, the holy ones, that were the offspring of his thought, and they were with him before aught else was made. I can't. Okay. There are so many ways to go. Like, I can't even pick a joke.
Well, the box those fabrics were in was too small, so I just peeled the label off.
Indeed. Ahem. All right. Tolkien is really not good at, like, exciting starts to things.
No.
Can we just I'm just saying. I'm like, I have tried to read the Silmarillion before, and I got stuck approximately where we are, which is about 40 words in.
That's why I'm here with my diversions and my furry leather specialty.
File that under things we're not going to call the podcast. That would be false advertising.
It would. People would be so disappointed.
And he spoke to them, propounding to them themes of music, and they sang before him, and he was glad. But after all,
you're my Wonderwall.
But for a long while they sang only each alone, or but few together, while the rest hearkened. For each comprehended only that part of the mind of Iluvatar from which he came, and in the understanding of their brethren they grew but slowly. Yet ever as they listened, they came to deeper understanding, and increased in unison and harmony. And it came to pass that Iluvatar called together all the Ainur, and declared to them a mighty theme, unfolding to them things greater and more wonderful than he had yet revealed. And the glory of its beginning and the splendor of its end amazed the Ainur, so that they bowed before Iluvatar and were silent. I absolutely believe that that is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, yeah. 100%. What else could it be?
I can't think of anything else it could be.
Yeah. In fact, Iluvatar is Freddie Mercury. We're putting that out there right now.
That checks out.
Yeah. He's like, gang, I made you out of my mind, and that's why you're so many and various. And they were like, damn, Freddie. And he was like, here's a song we're all going to sing together. And they were like, that fucking rocks, Freddie. And this works with my brother's theory about Tom Bombadil being Iluvatar incarnate, because you can picture Freddie Mercury living in the woods with a gorgeous elf, can't you? Like,
yeah. No, that absolutely tracks.
1000%. So yeah, carry on.
Not to mention the yellow boots. Like, that's all right. Then Freddie Mercury, Iluvatar, said to them, of the theme that I have declared to you, I will now that you make in harmony together a great music. And since I have kindled you with the flame imperishable, ye shall show forth your powers in adorning this theme, each with his own thoughts and devices, if ye will. But I will sit and hearken, and be glad that through you great beauty has been wakened into song.
Kindled within you the flame imperishable.
Kindled you with the flame imperishable.
Fucking rocks, man. That's a punk rock phrase. Like,
reminds me of that bit in Thor Ragnarok.
Which bit?
The bit where they have the eternal flame and they use it to bring people back to life.
Oh yeah. It's been a while. It's been too long, and I must do something about that.
You must indeed. Then the voices of the Ainur, like unto harps and lutes, and pipes and trumpets, and viols and organs, and like unto countless choirs singing with words, began to fashion the theme of Iluvatar to a great music. And a sound arose of endless interchanging melodies woven in harmony that passed beyond hearing into the depths and into the heights. And the places of the dwelling of Iluvatar were filled to overflowing, and the music and the echo of the music went out into the void, and it was not void.
Ooh.
For when you play Bohemian Rhapsody to the void plays also Bohemian Rhapsody unto you.
It does, yeah. You sing into the void, Galileo, Galileo, and the void sings back.
Galileo Figaro. Magnifico. Never since have the Ainur made any music like to this music, though it has been said that a greater still shall be made before Iluvatar by the choirs of the Ainur and the children of Iluvatar after the end of days. Then the themes of Iluvatar shall be played aright and take being in the moment of their utterance.
Are you all practicing?
I think we just did. For all shall then understand fully his intent in their part, and each shall know the comprehension of each, and Iluvatar shall give to their thoughts the secret fire, being well pleased. But now Iluvatar sat and hearkened, and for a great while it seemed good to him, for in the music there were no flaws. It's just occurred to me that now every time I sing in the shower, I'm going to be like, I'm practicing for Iluvatar's final concert.
We all need to sing together. It's totally Freddie's plan. Why would I argue?
Indeed. But as the theme progressed, it came into the heart of Melkor to interweave matters of his own imagining that were not in accord with the theme of Iluvatar. Okay, if Freddie Mercury is Iluvatar, who is Melkor?
Vince McMahon.
What's Vince McMahon from?
He's not from anything. He's the never mind. It doesn't work, but he's like the worst person ever. I shouldn't say that on the internet. I'm gonna get a bunch of Vince McMahon fanboys yelling at me.
I tend to doubt that they will find us.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Queen, and I don't want to relate anybody to Melkor. He's evil. He represents the ego. In fact, he represents everyone's ego. Let's just let him be that.
Okay.
Ego without soul, ego without comprehension, just desire to be important.
For he sought therein to increase the power and glory of the part assigned to himself. To Melkor among the Ainur had been given the greatest gifts of power and knowledge, and he had a share in all the gifts of his brethren. He had gone often alone into the void places seeking the imperishable flame, for desire grew hot within him to bring into being things of his own, and it seemed to him that...
Sorry about the loud.
And it seemed to him that Iluvatar took no thought for the void, and he was impatient of its emptiness. Yet he found not the fire, for it is with Iluvatar. But being alone, he had begun to conceive thoughts of his own, unlike those of his brethren.
Yeah.
Some of these thoughts he now wove into his music, and straightway discord arose about him, and many that sang nigh him grew despondent, and their thought was disturbed, and their music faltered. But some began to attune their music to his rather than to the thought which they had at first. Then the discord of Melkor spread ever wider, and the melodies which had been heard before foundered in a sea of turbulent sound. But Iluvatar sat and hearkened until it seemed that about his throne there was a raging storm, as of dark waters that made war upon one another in an endless wrath that would not be assuaged. I'm getting a Sorcerer's Apprentice vibe from that.
Right.
Then Iluvatar arose, and the Ainur perceived that he smiled, and he lifted up his left hand, and a new theme began amid the storm, like and yet unlike to the former theme, and it gathered power and had new beauty. But the discord of Melkor rose in uproar and contended with it, and again there was a war of sound more violent than before, until many of the Ainur were dismayed and sang no longer, and Melkor had the mastery. It's like, when a neighbor... Well, you probably don't have this problem, but sometimes one of your neighbors turns on their music and then someone else turns on their music to drown out the first person's music.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're sitting in the middle like...
And then I put on my noise-canceling headphones.
Yep.
Then again Iluvatar arose, and the Ainur perceived that his countenance was stern. He lifted up his right hand, and behold, a third theme grew amid the confusion, and it was unlike the others. For it seemed at first soft and sweet, mere rippling of gentle sounds and delicate melodies. But it could not be quenched, and it took to itself power and profundity. And it seemed at last that there were two musics progressing at one time before the seat of Iluvatar, and they were utterly at variance. The one was deep and wide and beautiful, but slow, and blended with an immeasurable sorrow from which its beauty chiefly came. The other had now achieved a unity of its own, but it was loud and vain and endlessly repeated, and it had little harmony, but rather a clamorous unison as of many trumpets braying upon a few notes. And it essayed to drown the other music by the violence of its voice, but it seemed that its most triumphant notes were taken by the other and woven into its own solemn pattern.
One of the themes, one of the tropes of all human storytelling seems to be that one of the chief marks of evil is that it wants everything to be the same.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point.
Yeah. Yeah, you uniform, predictable, same notes, same, yeah,
Yeah.
same repetition. Like the thing about the takeaway from stormtroopers in the Star Wars universe isn't that it's trying to make the enemy look faceless. It's that evil will take people, individuals, and make them faceless.
Yeah, the enemy, which in this case is fascism. Let's just be real here. Fascism wants to make everyone faceless and identical, and
yep. And authoritarianism, same deal. And
I mean, they're kind of versions of the same thing.
Yeah. And this is the same thing being expressed in music, which is cool, but it's difficult to read. If I actually heard this music, like, I don't know if Tolkien was like, I'm talking about Bach here. If you listen to some J.S. Bach or Beethoven or something, like, you'll hear the original theme, and then the discord, and then the rise of the second theme, and then the clamoring, and then the third theme that's stronger and sweeter than the other two. But like, there's this, I want a composer to take this story and make it right.
Yeah, because like, I'm not a particularly auditory person, so this is not entirely like,
I can't experience it in my head.
No, absolutely. That's the thing. If I bet people who are musicians love this bit because they know, like, they can picture it. Cannot picture it.
No, not unless I picture something like Bohemian Rhapsody, which is perfectly valid. But indeed, I can't create something new.
No. In the midst of this strife, whereat the halls of Iluvatar shook, and a tremor ran out into the silences yet unmoved, Iluvatar arose a third time, and his face was terrible to behold. Then he raised up both his hands, and in one chord, deeper than the abyss, higher than the firmament, piercing as the light of the eye of Iluvatar, the music ceased.
Na, 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 na. No!
Then Iluvatar spoke, and he said, Mighty are the Ainur, and mightiest among them is Melkor, but that he may know, and all the Ainur, that I am Iluvatar. Those things that ye have sung, I will show them forth, that ye may see what ye have done. And thou, Melkor, shalt see that no theme may be played that hath not its uttermost source in me, nor can any alter the music in my despite. For he that attempteth this shall prove but mine instrument in the devising of things more wonderful, which he himself hath not imagined.
Which is such a own to someone who's that wrapped up in their own ego. Like, no matter what you do, you're still my child.
Well, that, but also, no matter what you're trying to do, it still comes from what I taught you.
Yeah. And no matter how far you try to run from me, you're just running closer to me.
It sounds a bit abusive when you put it that way, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be abusive if it was a person talking to another person, but we're talking about the source of all life and light talking to someone. Like, hello?
Yeah, I mean,
there's me, and then there's nothing. If it's something, it's me. Like, I'm sorry.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of, fan is the wrong word. I don't vibe with monotheism in general, so that might be part of why I struggle with this bit too, is it's, as much as it's like fantasy, whatever, it's still coming from a very monotheistic worldview.
It's true. It does reconcile monotheism and polytheism in a sentence later, like the Valar came to the world. Some have called them angels and some have called them gods. And it's like, oh, well, that's. There you go.
Yeah, but like.
But it all comes from one source.
But it all comes from one source, yeah. Like,
but,
wasn't he Catholic? I feel like he was Catholic, or was that Lewis that was Catholic?
He was Catholic. He was very devout Catholic. He's the reason Lewis converted to Catholic. Lewis started out an atheist, and his buddy taught him the error of his ways, and then he became a Christian apologist and wrote Jesus's persona into his books because he needed it. But yeah.
Look, far be it from me to king shame people and their need for Jesus's persona to be part of their life, but I'm just saying, Tolkien, you got some things to answer for.
It's true. It's true. I'd rather have an honest atheist around than a Christian apologist, but you know, maybe that's just me. And
yeah.
Paraphrasing anything Iluvatar says is going to make it sound wrong because I'm just a person. And he is not, let's say they're not. He would have used they if it had been in common parlance as a singular pronoun. I'm certain of it.
Well, regardless. Anyway, my point was just that I think part of why the Ainulindale does not
jive,
doesn't grab me is because it's like, all right, but also this is like fantasy Catholicism.
It really is. However, it doesn't. I prefer Iluvatar over any god that our primary world has ever produced in any of its religions. So, because Iluvatar at least really likes music and can be pictured as Freddie Mercury, which is a lot less easy with Jesus.
See, that's just your opinion, okay? Can't picture Jesus as Freddie Mercury. Not with that attitude, you can't.
All right, I'll work on it. Keep going.
Then the Ainur were afraid, and they did not yet comprehend the words that were said to them. And Melkor was filled with shame, of which came secret anger. But Iluvatar arose in splendor, and he went forth from the fair regions that he had made for the Ainur, and the Ainur followed him. But when they were come into the void, Iluvatar said to them, "Behold your music." And he showed them a vision, giving to them sight where before was only hearing. Which is that's an interesting moment to realize that up to that point, like, they didn't see. They had no need to.
They probably didn't even have bodies. They were just creatures of pure sound. Oh, that's a fun thing to wrap your mind around.
It is.
Right? I dig.
Imagine being a creature of pure sound, and then all of a sudden you have sight. What a mind fuck.
And what a great way to reveal it, honestly. You know, you don't have to spell it out for people beforehand if you're just going to do a throwaway line later about where before there had been only hearing, and your readers are going to be like, excuse me?
Wait, what? What now?
Actually, this is intriguing.
Let's see. And they saw a new world made visible before them, and it was globed amid the void, and it was sustained therein, but was not of it. And as they looked and wondered, this world began to unfold its history, and it seemed to them that it lived and grew. But when the Ainur had gazed for a while and were silent, Iluvatar said again, "Behold your music. This is your minstrelsy, Each of you shall find contained herein, amid the design that I set before you, all those things which it may seem that he himself devised or added. And thou, Melkor, wilt discover all the secret thoughts of thy mind, and wilt perceive they are but a part of the whole, and tributary to its glory. And many other things Iluvatar spoke to the Ainur at that time. And because of their memory of his words and the knowledge that each has of the music that he himself made, the Ainur know much of what was and is to come, and few things are unseen by them. Yet some things there are that they cannot see, neither alone nor taking counsel together, for to none but himself has Iluvatar revealed all that he has in store. And in every age there come forth things that are new and have no foretelling, for they do not proceed from the past. And so it was that as this vision of the world was played before them, the Ainur saw that it contained things which they had not thought. And they saw with amazement the coming of the children of Iluvatar, and the habitation that was prepared for them. And they perceived that they themselves, in the labor of their music, had been busy with the preparation of this dwelling, and yet knew not that it had any purpose beyond its own beauty. For the children of Iluvatar were conceived by him alone, and they came with the third theme, and were not in the theme which Iluvatar propounded at the beginning, and none but the Ainur had part in their making, and none of the Ainur had part in their making. Therefore, when they beheld them, the more did they love them, being things other than themselves, strange and free, wherein they saw the mind of Iluvatar reflected anew, and learned yet a little more of his wisdom, which otherwise had been hidden even from the Ainur.
We are the surprise of Papa Freddy.
Now the children of Iluvatar are elves and men, the firstborn and the followers. And amid all the splendors of the world, its vast halls and spaces, and its wheeling fires, Iluvatar chose a place for their habitation in the deeps of time, and in the midst of the innumerable stars. And this habitation might seem a little thing to those who consider only the majesty of the Ainur, not their terrible sharpness. As who should take the whole field of Arda for the foundation of a pillar, and so raise it until the cone of its summit were more bitter than a needle. What? What?
So he's trying to describe infinity.
Is that what I was like, wait.
That's what that is. He's like, if you think that we're too small for the Ainur to bother with, our little world is too small for something as vast as the Ainur, what you're picturing is the base of an infinite mountain, which comes up to a peak this big. So they're infinitely large, but also infinitely small. So we fit in their realm. But what a weird way to put it. At least
also, why terrible sharpness?
That's how I've always interpreted it. I don't know if I'm right.
I think that makes sense with the next little bit. But also, like, why call it terrible sharpness? Like, that just makes it sound like a bad thing. Let's see. Or who consider only the immeasurable vastness of the world which still the Ainur are shaping, and not the minute precision to which they shape all things therein. But when the Ainur had beheld this habitation in a vision, and had seen the children of Iluvatar arise therein, then many of the most mighty among them bent all their thought and their desire towards that place. And of these Melkor was the chief, even as he was in the beginning the greatest of the Ainur who took part in the music. And he feigned, even to himself at first, that he desired to go thither and order all things for the good of the children of Iluvatar, controlling the turmoils of the heat and the cold that had come to pass through him. But he desired rather to subdue to his will both elves and men, envying the gifts with which Iluvatar promised to endow them. And he wished himself to have subjects and servants, to be called Lord, and to be a master over other wills.
I mean, what does it say about Iluvatar that in fact, so it could be read that Melkor is Iluvatar's ego. Everything there was in him that wanted to be worshipped ended up this guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the flip side of the fact that Melkor can't do anything that doesn't come from Iluvatar, is that Melkor can't do anything that doesn't come from Iluvatar.
Yeah.
And that includes the shitty stuff.
That includes the shitty stuff. Dag nabbit. The hell is this?
And really, I mean, the difference between, you could make an argument. I don't think I am personally making this argument, but you could make an argument that the difference between Melkor and Iluvatar is that Melkor had that Iluvatar had the ability to make people worship him, and Melkor didn't.
Right? Like, the desire to be worshipped doesn't come from the same place as that which is worshipful, worshipable, worthy of worship. Yeah. So Melkor has the one, but none of the other.
Yep. So but Iluvatar has to have both, because Melkor couldn't have the desire if Iluvatar didn't.
That's right. That's right. Although he does say, and we could take this as a message, is that Melkor spent an awful lot of time alone in the void, and that might have had the same effect on, like, a healthy ego that solitude does have on. It can rot things. He might not have started out. I don't know how to put it. It's like Winnowill in the ElfQuest saga. Mm-hmm. She wasn't needed. She went off and spent way too much time alone, ended up eating herself in the loneliness and becoming just evil. And
yeah. No, yeah. I think you're onto something there.
Okay.
Interesting.
Melkor is Winnowill. Let's.
Well, but also, like, that suggests that the reason the desire to be worshipped didn't go bad in Iluvatar is because he wasn't alone.
Right.
He made himself others to be around.
Right. And he didn't make them just to worship him, but to make their own music, to grow and to develop under their own power. And because they had each other, it was a lot easier to stay sane.
Yeah. Which comes back to that sameness versus diversity thing, that he didn't make them all to be the same and all to be the same as him.
Nope.
And if he had, that would have been evil, and they would have not been. Things would be bad.
Right? Evil people or evil minds have a hard time being creative. So we wouldn't have a world, assuming this creation myth is valid. Anyway, go ahead.
Thank you, green stuffed animal. I will do that. But the other Ainur looked upon this habitation set within the vast spaces of the world, which the elves called Arda, the earth. And their hearts rejoiced in light, with their eyes beholding many colors. And their eyes beholding many colors were filled with gladness. A platypus?
I don't have a little hat for him.
Bury the platypus!
He needs mending. He got his little sound box got damaged, so I need to fix that.
Yeah.
That's why he's in here.
Let's see. And their eyes beholding many colors were filled with gladness. But because of the roaring of the sea, they felt a great unquiet. And they observed the winds and the air, and the matters of which Arda was made, of iron and stone and silver and gold and many substances. But of all these, water they most greatly praised. Ha! Opus! And it is said by the Eldar that in water there lives yet the echo of the music of the Ainur, more than in any substance else that is in this earth. And many of the children of Iluvatar hearken still unsated to the voices of the sea, and yet know not for what they listen. Now to water had that I knew. What's that?
That was a fucking beautiful sentence.
That was a fucking beautiful sentence. And true.
Yeah. Yep. Cannot gainsay it.
Now to water had that Ainu whom the elves call Ulmo.
Oh, no.
Na 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 na. Ulmo's world.
Should I keep it?
What is it?
It's, you know, those little cornstarch things? You lick them or dip them in water and then they stick together. Avi built it when he was like 5, but I don't think he's. I'm keeping it.
Okay. Glad we sorted that out. Happy to help.
Thank you.
And of all, most deeply was he instructed by Iluvatar in music. But of the airs and winds, Manwe most had pondered, who is the noblest of the Ainur. Of the fabric of earth had Aule thought, to whom Iluvatar had given skill and knowledge scarce less than to Melkor. But the delight and pride of Aule is in the deed of making and in the thing made, and neither in possession nor in his own mastery. Wherefore he gives and hoards not, and is free from care, passing ever on to some new work.
And that is a really good way to be. Let me just put it out there. Aule has a maker's life figured out just fine.
Yeah, it's the difference between creation and possession.
Yes.
Those are very, very different urges.
Oh, yeah.
And Iluvatar spoke to Ulmo and said, Seest thou not how here in this little realm in the deeps of time Melkor hath made war upon thy province? He hath bethought him of bitter cold immoderate, and yet hath not destroyed the beauty of thy fountains, nor of thy clear pools. Behold the snow and the cunning work of frost. Melkor hath devised heats and fire without restraint, and hath not dried up thy desire, nor utterly quelled the music of the sea. Behold rather the height and glory of the clouds, and the ever-changing mists, and listen to the fall of rain upon the earth. And in these clouds thou art drawn nearer to Manwe, thy friend, whom thou lovest. Then Ulmo answered, Truly, water is become now fairer than my heart imagined. Neither had my secret thought conceived the snowflake, nor in all my music was contained the falling of the rain. I will seek Manwe, that he and I may make melodies forever to thy delight. And Manwe and Ulmo have from the beginning been allied, and in all things have served most faithfully the purpose of Iluvatar. Gay!
I kind of did. It's very gay, but I also very much enjoy the pulling your people aside and being like, so someone tried to fuck with you, and all they did was make your work even better. Like, your shit cannot be messed with, and I hope you're okay with that and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, and I like the fact that Ulmo is straight up just like, yeah, man, I would have never thought of snowflakes.
Yeah, right?
That's some good shit.
Like, we don't have to thank him or anything, but damn, that worked out just fine.
But even as Ulmo spoke, and while the Ainur were yet gazing upon this vision, it was taken away and hidden from their sight. And it seemed to them that in that moment they perceived a new thing, darkness, which they had not known before, except in thought. But they had become enamored of the beauty of the vision, and engrossed in the unfolding of the world which came there to being, and their minds were filled with it, for the history was incomplete, and the circles of time not full wrought when the vision was taken away. And some have said that the vision ceased ere the fulfillment of the dominion of men, and the fading of the firstborn. Wherefore, though the music is over all, the Valar have not seen, as with sight, the later ages, or the ending of the world. Then there was unrest among the Ainur, but Iluvatar called to them and said, I know the desire of your minds, that what ye have seen should verily be, not only in your thought, but even as ye yourselves are, and yet other. Therefore I say, Ea, let these things be. And I will send forth into the void the flame imperishable, and it shall be at the heart of the world, and the world shall be, and those of you that will may go down into it.
Therefore,
And
I say,
suddenly,
"Hey-ya!"
that's better. I should have done that, Miss Piggy style. If Iluvatar wasn't already Freddie Mercury, he could be Miss Piggy.
He could, except that Melkor's a lot more Miss Piggy-like.
Well, that's true.
She do love to be worshipped.
That is very true. But does that make Iluvatar Kermit? Therefore, I say, let these things be.
It makes Iluvatar Jim Henson.
Oh.
And then the Ainur are all Muppets. He's like,
Muppet Ainul and Dale?
Muppet Ainul and Dale. And he sits on his throne and he's like, even the ugliest Muppet came straight from my heart. And the ugliest Muppet's like, fuck off. And he's like, you couldn't say that without my hands.
Headcanon accepted.
And they're always singing.
They're always singing.
Look at me. Here I am. Right where I belong. Okay, so now we've got two parallel universes, one in which Freddie Mercury sang Bohemian Rhapsody to bring the world into being, and the other in which the Ainur are Muppets.
I think we're gonna have to run with the Muppet thing. It's just too good.
It's so good.
Although I was enjoying doing Iluvatar's lines in Kermit's voice.
Well, Jim Henson sounded an awful lot like Kermit. There wasn't really a lot of pretend going on there.
Therefore, I say, let these things be. And I will send forth into the void the flame imperishable, and it shall be at the heart of the world, and the world shall be. And those of you that will may go down into it. And then suddenly the Ainur saw afar off a light, as it were a cloud with a living heart of flame. And they knew that this was no vision only, but that Iluvatar had made a new thing. Ea, the world that is. I think that's a good stopping point. Yep.
Suddenly, it all comes together. You're welcome, Tolkien. We really do love you. Oh, yeah. His prose is very ponderous, and it can get to places slowly, but every so often he hits you upside the head with a sentence where you're like, "Oh, I needed that in my life." And suddenly there was sight where before there had been only hearing, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, because he stuck the eyes on the Muppets. I'm picturing that now.
What better place could anyone be?
It's like that one Sesame Street gag that haunted me where she was singing I Feel Pretty and changing out her face.
Yeah. That was horrifying.
That one was so fucked up. I can't believe they broadcast that to children, but that's another story.
Yeah, we'll discuss it next time.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining us. Humans that will eventually join us sometime in the misty future.
We hope you do, but if you don't, then you'll never know about the truth of Jim Henson and the Muppets. All right. I'll see you next week.
Doki doki, I love you.
I love you too.
Cuidado.
Te amas.